Smackola of Dirty Wormz, Kabosh, Juggalo interview, Mr. Hatchet with True Juggalo Family, Smackola of Dirty Wormz, back at it again. Kabosh, if you don't know, killing America's beliefs on society's hoods with Tech Nine. It's going to be Tech Nine and Dirty Wormz. Before we get into me talking about it too much, who all makes up Kabosh? And it, you know, maybe even before that, what exactly is Kabosh?
Kabosh, killing America's beliefs on society's hoods. It's going to be Tech Nine, Chris Calico, myself, and Dirty Wormz, and we will form a supergroup, and it will be just, there has to be another word we need to make.
Yeah, there's something we got to make up a word for it.
If you like Tech Nine's music, Chris Calico's music, if you like Dirty Wormz music, just imagine that with just some audio steroids ass fucking just hype. It's gonna be to the wall. It's gonna be I don't know. You just gonna have to wait and see. But it's definitely gonna be that. Just imagine Tech Nine with a live band, Chris Calico,
a live band,
and we're the livest band. So and it's gonna be very theatrical. It's gonna be all those things, and
I can't wait.
There's remixes out there we've done in the studio just to throw out there, just to give people a little taste, because so many people just wanted to kind of feel like what it would probably sound like.
People anticipate
and that's
that
just
everywhere.
a little something. That's not even, we didn't even really go all the way in. We were just fucking around, really.
And these are remakes too.
Yeah,
these aren't even like focused on the talents of Tech and
right.
Dirty Wormz and Chris and Dirty Wormz. This is so. Whenever we hear some tailored music, like, dude, Midwest Choppers was the first one I heard. Whenever I heard it, I was just like, get out of here. I mean, just like, and then like getting to know you, hearing about this ring, I listened to this ring, and it's just like, Tech already has that same, as we spoke about earlier segment, that not necessarily fight, but he's got some real high energy behind his music, and it seems like both just complement the shit out of each other. Like,
yeah, I can't wait. It's gonna be dope.
Yeah, for sure. As far as Kabosh, and was this, like Kabosh, was it an idea of yours, or was it strange music, or,
This is totally Tech Nine and Chris Calico. This is like something they've been trying to do for a while, and I think they've, from what I've heard, they've tried to do it for a while, just couldn't quite find the right band or the right vibe. So I think this is one of those things where, like, I don't know, we just came along and it just kind of happened. It just kind of
seemed to fit.
Yeah, well, a lot of his fans were hitting us like a couple of years ago, even saying that. They were like, man, y'all need to be Kabosh. Y'all need to be the ones. So I was like, okay, you know what I mean? You're kind of hearing, you're thinking, man, those guys are so like far beyond, you know what I mean? That this,
Felt out like your league a little bit.
And then I'd have to say Crossy Joe, though, was the one that really got at me tough about it, and he was like, man, I just see it, man, I see it. And it was funny because we had already done this ring before I even really knew about the Kabosh thing, you know what I mean? And it's weird, man. It's
as far as, you say Crossy Joe, like I've only got to see him a few hours, hang out with him a little bit, but from what I've seen, the media portrays of him, silly, lighthearted and everything else, he's also like a very business-oriented man.
Right.
Business etiquette a lot.
Yeah.
Can you give a little more in depth about him, or how it came about as far as him helping with the push? Where did that come into play, or how did that happen?
Man, Crossy Joe is like one of those guys, like he just has a lot of love, you know what I mean? And he's always been getting at me about, yo, Smack, we need to do this. I'm gonna go work for Strange. So that was like really a dream of his to do, and then he went and did that, you know what I mean? And then ever since then, it's like he's been kind of hollering at me here and there, like, man, you need to hook up with Tech. He really wanted us to be on Strange music. He was like, man, y'all need to sign Strange, and so it's just been kind of going like that. But that dude is very humble, cool, hard worker. Every time, like the last time I seen him, I probably spoke to him for I probably said, what's up?
Yeah.
He was just pure, he was gone, you know what I mean? He was working, but then he'll call me and be like, hey man, sorry I couldn't holler, And I said, dude, I already understand, you know what I mean? Saw him at the merch booth, went over there, boom, boom. You know what I mean? So
He good people.
he's real good people. So he's a definitely a real big part of probably Kabosh even happening, because I know he's been in my ear. I know he's been in Tech's ear. I mean, I'm sure if you ask any of those guys, it's strange.
Travis, anybody.
They'll probably be like, man, he's probably been bugging us about y'all for a while now. You know what I mean? So.
Well, there it goes. A while. How long is a while? And like, what started it? When did you meet Tech, or how did it happen, or what?
I met Tech a couple times, probably before Tech even knew he was meeting me. But every time I tried to meet him, at first I didn't even know what he looked like. Now this is before really I think the internet was even like, you know what I mean? But I never knew what he looked like. And then what was so weird, when I finally saw what he looked like and who he was, it was weird just to know I'd already crossed paths with him, you know, a couple times. And I was like, that's him? I was like, oh man, because the first time I saw him, he had the red hair.
Yeah.
And I just thought he was like a skater kid or something, you know what I mean? I thought, you know, I didn't know it was him, you know what I mean? Because the first time I seen him, he was just chilling. He wasn't painted up or nothing. He was just, and I was just like, and we said what's up to each other. We were like passing, what's up, man, what's up, man? And I didn't even think nothing of it, you know what I mean?
Never even knew if it happened.
Never even knew that was him. I mean, I'd already heard of him. I heard of the song Mitch Babe, you know what I mean? So that's the first time I really even heard
Classic.
Tech Nine, and
Yeah.
I was like, whoever that dude is, he's got some spit, for real, you know what I mean? He's got a nice sound, nice flow.
Mitch Begg was a big part of Tech, you know, as far as
Right.
people in the music industry actually, you know, I've watched his Tech Nine experience, and that's when I actually learned about it. But yeah, Mitch Begg was a very big part, and there's another perfect example right there of someone that it did reach.
Exactly.
When did you, I guess, what was it, South by Southwest, was that the first encounter with him or no?
That was probably the first Dirty Worm Tech Nine encounter.
And that's here in Austin, Texas. In case y'all don't know, that's a big thing here in Austin, Texas. But
So
was that the first one?
Yeah, so 2008 had to be the very first time we actually met up like that, you know what I mean? And it's funny because we had him on a mixtape of ours, and we would always like to put out mixtapes of like just artists we like, and we would take their songs and we would just worm them out. We'd add guitars to them. So he was definitely one that we did that to. And so when they came to South by, we ended up being on the same bill, but for years, or maybe even a year or two before that, people were always like, man, y'all in Tech Nine, y'all in Tech Nine. That's all I ever heard. Y'all in Tech Nine, y'all in Tech Nine. You need to do a song, you need to do a song. So we wormed it out. They came down South by. We opened up. I think Chris caught a little bit of the show and some of Tech's people, but Tech didn't get to see it, but I know he heard about it. And then they were having like some kind of interview he was having, and I heard about where he was going to be at. So I went. At the time I was in a Hummer, so I came flying. You know, I knew when they were walking out, so I went and jumped in the Hummer. I put this ring in, I pumped it up. Wow, this ring. Drove around the corner. Bam, I saw him coming right across the parking lot. I just pulled right in the parking lot. Bam, jumped out, both doors open. I jumped out at Travis, and I know he was just probably like,
What the fuck?
What are you
Oh
doing?
shit.
Yeah, you never know. You know what I mean? I know he was thinking like, what the fuck? But then the one good thing that happened is I looked over to Tech, and Tech was already pretty much getting in the Suburban, and he kind of stopped, and he just turned around, and he just walked back over to the Hummer, and he was just standing there going, what is this? You know what I mean? I said, this is that Dirty Worm, man. Yeah, so that's how that kind of started. Gave him a couple copies, was hollering at Travis, and then, you know, it kind of just stuck like that, and the next year came around, what is it, 2009? Yeah, so.
Hey, that's a good point right there. I want to interrupt on this. You just heard right there. I mean, for anybody that's watching this, maybe want to know how can they start, and for all those failure stories that you hear about, oh, it just didn't happen. You know, he just walked right out. You got to make it happen sometimes. If you're really hungry and you really know, or you're following a passion or a desire that you got, sometimes you just got to persevere through that shit and make it happen. And that's what pulled in front of him, you know, boss up in front of him in a Hummer and throw the doors open. And you know what you've got. You're not selling a product. You believe in the music you're making enough that if he'll hear it, he'll be like, yeah, this is what we got to do. And that's exactly what happened, yo. That's how it happened. So.
And so that's just what I kind of knew he was gonna react, because the remix was already. I mean, the song itself is dope.
Yeah.
Then just us adding guitars, I thought just made it like. You know,
it just complements it perfect to a T.
Exactly.
It's like it wasn't badass and like better than damn near anything out.
It's just a
But
good
whenever
remix.
you can, yeah, but whenever
It's
you
cool
can add
remix.
just that little bit of touch of perfection.
And I knew when I'd jump out and he'd hear that bang and he would stop, and that's exactly what happened.
The remixes that we see on YouTube, did y'all do that in the studio, or was that just him cutting up with y'all and seeing y'all do it, or how was, you know?
We actually, when I'm in the studio, sometimes I get bored, and so for inspiration, I'll take like something like that and I'll say, we'll add guitars to it. You know what I mean? We'll add drums and guitars to it, play over it, and we'll make a, you know. And I just got a kick out of it. And a lot of people that would come by the studio would be like, man, that is the shit.
Yeah.
So then we would kind of hold on to them for a while. That's why you hear them old. Because I didn't ever want to do it to nothing really new.
Yeah.
So I would always kind of wait till they had already had it out a while. And then once I'd see
Play down.
people already kind of putting out their little whatever, then I'd be like, all right, drop that out there, you know. And mainly it was just for the fans. And I know that he appreciates it, and I know
Oh
the
yeah.
fans appreciate it. It was just something to, you know, drop.
That's a compliment, type of flattery.
I mean,
It's
I get so many emails about this whole Kabosh record, you know what I mean, that I was just like, all right, we got to do it. So now, though, I'm holding back of doing anything else until we get really all in the studio together, because we are ready. I'm ready. I can't wait. I know it's going to be dope. I just can't wait, you know what I mean?
Well, we got to talk about your influences with music. I understand your mom probably the first and foremost there, and then Crossy Joe, you would give quite a bit of props to for the whole progress of Kabosh.
Mhm.
But I feel kind of like the best is yet to come for yourself, for Dirty Wormz, for Kabosh. Who would you say, if there's anyone you haven't mentioned and maybe you has influenced, or who would your props go to? Maybe someone you haven't got to say.
Oh man, I got a lot of big props, man. A lot of them. Let me start down the list. Let me go back. First would have to be my homeboy Diz, Mr. Diz, aka Chris Avery. This guy was just the beat man. He was cold on the turntables. You know, good friend of mine, and he's the first person I ever met that actually had his own tape. You know, back then, he had his own album.
Yeah.
And that just blew me away. So definitely Mr. Diz, Raja, aka Flight Music now. Cage was a big influence. My boy Michael Owens was a big influence. Don't let me forget nobody.
Yeah, I don't want to put you on the spot. I hate
Underrated and damaged. There's just so many people I gotta thank. My homegirl Jade, big influence. Tim Fingers, he's a producer, big influence. Another real big one is my man AJ Vallejo. I mean, if it wasn't for him, this probably wouldn't even be happening.
No.
Actually, none of this Dirty Worm stuff would happen. But he got it, he understood it, did it. Who else? Dwight Baker, big influence. There's a lot. There's so many people. That's like, it's like my name Smackola. It's like Smackola for me is like so many different things.
Yeah,
It's almost like it's just a little piece from this and that and this and that, and it's just all into. It's the Aretha Franklin. It's Michael Jackson. It's my mom. It's anger. It's depression. It's blah blah blah, and it's all in this ball. So definitely my band. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
all
of
these
course.
guys they're so talented, and just any and everybody. You know what I mean? It's really just been a real big influence. I'm pretty sure I'm missing somebody that really deserves it, because that's how it always goes.
that's the way it goes down. You can't help it. You be trying to think of it.
Definitely the Rodriguez family. When I was really out here in Texas, I know they let me live with them and never charged me for rent. I basically was just doing my dream.
They believed in you and whatnot.
Yeah. Who else?
No, that's crazy.
My
Like
boy-
most
my
people
boy
can't even
Dale.
think of 2 or 3
My
people.
boy
You know,
Dale, Doc. He used to let me crash on his couch, sleep on his floor, didn't charge me any rent, you know what I mean? And we came out the military, and I told him, I said, man, I'm going to take this city over, and, that's what we were trying to do. And there's just a lot
that's
of
what
people.
you're doing. Shit.
A lot of people just believed in me, you know what I mean? To all the people that never charged me for nothing, sometimes they just did it for me because they understood my determination. I just was straight up. I was like, I don't have any money, but this is what I'm going to do,
Mhm.
And without those people, man, without all those people doing those things, none of this would be going on at all. From Sarabian doing her part, to Roy Jones doing his part, to My homegirl, good friend of mine, Valerie, you know, doing her part. Ike Jones doing his part. I mean, just it's a list of them that it's hard to really. To Jackie Mack, you know, if it wasn't for her, she introduced me to the drum. You know what I mean? For Miss Melly, my music teacher, for noticing that I didn't have any musical talents, that put me in the back of a closet and told me just bang on the drums in there. And then years later,
dude,
banging on
no
them.
way.
You know what I mean? It's just
that's amazing, yo.
It's
That's
just,
really bad.
It's any and everything. You know, it's any and everything. My son that passed away, if you know, I try to look at things different. If that wouldn't have happened, I probably would still be just bullshit in the studio with a whole bunch of dudes. You know what I mean? But when that happened, it definitely took effect, and that's the only reason I'm going this hard. When you see me in the studio every day, when you see me and I'm on it, it's because of that. You know, I wanted that for my son to mean something. His death was the birth of the Wormz. You know what I mean?
Word.
It was the birth of me really going hard at music, and I sacrificed everything, you know, relationships, everything. Like I always put my music first, and everything else was second, and a lot of things suffered, you know, because of that. But you know,
you are, man.
the Al Qaeda Sand Spider is definitely speaking on that and letting people know, or even my friends or people just close, like, you know, I realize how much I've done that, and you know, but at the same time it's just an appreciation. So I hope a lot of my friends and even some of those people I don't even talk to anymore, I hope they really understand that it was definitely, you were a big influence
And how much you appreciate
on
that.
this. So
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. That's hella. That's hella real right there. That's humble, and that's kind of what I always want to portray and let people see in our community. You know, like Tech Nine, I know how thankful you are to even get to be a whisper in the ear of the same. You know, and and what? Now that we're about that, like, when is that, next summer-ish that we're hoping that's gonna happen, or don't really know, or?
I'm thinking it's gonna be this summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's up, dude.
He's they're really wanting to do it. So I know he's gonna do the 6s and 7 album, and then the next
Hopefully
thing is
that'd be
Kabosh, and then I mean, yeah, that's what the way it's looking right now. So I'm just ready. I got a couple of Kabosh tracks just stored up, waiting. I caught up with him, you know, a month or two ago, I guess it was.
Fort Worth?
Yeah, was that a month or two ago?
Yeah, too.
Played him some beats. You were out there.
Yeah, the parking lot. You're working on that
Jumped
stuff.
out, let him bang it, and you know.
He said, "Make me want to fight."
Yeah. So it definitely was good that, you know, that he understood the vibe, you know, that was going on, and they seem to like it. And I just can't wait, because those dudes are so talented and so cold. I know they're gonna make me step my game up, and I've been searching for that and waiting for that, because I really don't have a crew when it comes to that. It's just basically me. I don't have nothing to feed off of.
Yeah.
So I know being around, especially like Chris Calico, I mean,
that hard-working ninja right there.
I can't wait for that vibe to spill off on me. You know what I mean? Because I have a lot of that in me too. But like I said, you know, that's what's so cool about them. They have that to bounce off each other.
That chemistry.
All I can do is play, like, you know, the tennis ball against the wall with myself. You know what I mean? I don't really have, but once we get to doing that, I know.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be, it's gonna be some shit. You know what I mean?
Well, we have to wrap up that segment. There's another good one right there. That's the Kabosh side.
Sure.
Give a little shout out to Yellow Dog Studios. I forgot to do that in the open of segment 3. We're, you know, here in Austin again. Yellow Dog Studios. Hit them up, man. Thank y'all for that.